Welcome back to the channel. This is Brendan, and today we're going to take a look at a custom Imperial Assault Bad Batch squad. The original concept for this was Stephanie's design after last Adepticon, when it was announced that the Bad Batch would be coming out for Legion, and we were really into the show. So this is originally Stephanie's idea, and I just kind of ran with it. Now, this is for Imperial Assault, IACP, and this was going to be ran this year at Adepticon. I was going to run this. Unfortunately, that event's not happening anymore, but this is where we're at with our hobby progress. So we got it all painted. So each of these characters represents somebody else from Imperial Assault world, but we have all the members of the Bad Batch plus their droid companions. So first member we're going to talk about is Omega. She's arguably the heart of the squad. Everyone else in the Bad Batch would basically lay down their lives for her. She motivates them, and like I said, she's pretty much the heart of the squad. So she would be Gideon Argus. She gives influence over everybody, gives them focus, and they would definitely move for her if she said move. And they basically fight to protect her. Even when she's captured, she's got influence over the whole squad and their motivation. Next member of the squad is Gonky. So that Gonk droid there is not painted like Gonky from the show. We have a Sabine Wren paint job on Gonky there. That model was something that we ran and used in the Gonk droid racing last year. Gonky joins the squad, of course, as R2-D2. They both fit as droids. It's got the Sabine-themed paint job. And of course, he's going to be walking over to the control panel and powering up to draw extra command cards. And whenever Rebel Graffiti is played, we can just say that the paint job is being completed throughout the game. So I thought that was pretty cool for Gonky, R2-D2. Next, we're talking about AZ. So this little droid here, if you remember him from the show, some people love him, some people hate him. Of course, he is representing C-3PO. They're both droids, give information, cowering, distracting, and non-combatant, so he fits that very well. They even, at one point in the show, find AZ in a cabinet for the cowering part. The model for AZ was the most difficult to acquire because there's no AZ of the proper size. He was actually from like a G.I. Joe sized figure from Etsy, I think, but I had a friend of mine, Jason from Wonderworks. I will put the Wonderworks info in the description below. He does a lot of interesting 3D printing, and he had to resize this and print it off for me. So this is AZ, works in Imperial Assault scale, but that was definitely a custom project that I had to get done. Let's see, then we have the guys from the squad. Some of these are pretty obvious for their IACP counterparts, and other ones kind of had to get creative. The first one we're going to talk about is Wrecker. So this big guy right here, he is Biv Bodrick in game. Big guy, big gun, hunter, brawler, makes sense. Laying down extra shots with multi-fire, giving out suppression, giving out strain, so putting some pressure on the opponent's command cards makes a good centerpiece for the Force. With command card pressure, we have another obvious choice would be Crosshair as IACP Loku. He's very focused on taking down one target, being a spy, hunter, a deadly marksman, long-range sniper character, very similar in that way, and with +4 accuracy and setting the sights on a specific target for the squad to take down. Makes really, really good sense for him to be supporting the squad in that way. So we got our Crosshair. Then we have Hunter. So Hunter, I went with Kotun Ferrallo. So Kotun is a staple with Rebel and IACP. Trooper and leader. He is the leader of the squad after all. Professional, kind of representing how efficient he is in combat. Distributing arms to the squad is something a leader would do. And even dead precise can help his nearby friendly attacks potentially cancel dodges, which is really powerful. Unfortunately, Hunter would not have the Hunter trait, but other than that, Kotun works for him. Next up, we have Echo. Yes, he's part droid. In this, he would be CT-1701. So Echo, both Trooper Guardian clones, extra attacks with Barrage, giving out block power tokens, stripping some enemy power tokens or conditions, just kind of a powerhouse, similar to Wrecker, putting out lots of extra shots. And finally, we have Tech. Tech was kind of a stretch here, but in this, he's going to represent Sabine Wren, Hunter, and Vehicle. That Vehicle trait could maybe represent the gadgets that he has. You know, maybe he pulls out rocket boots or something like that, like he's got a jetpack maybe. Evasive maneuvers, so you could say that he's got some Bacta capsules in some of his pouches. He does have extra equipment and pouches versus the other members of the squad, so that makes sense there. And parting gift with explosions, yeah, he does actually handle explosives and explosive material in the show. So, I mean, he could throw some bombs, makes sense to me. So he could be Sabine Wren. And like I said, when Rebel Graffiti is played, he's basically painting on Gonki. So that is kind of what the Bad Batch and this iteration of it represents. Their play style is a Rebel Hunter Trooper list, very similar to, and might be the exact same that I've seen used on IA Command YouTube videos from years past. For their synergy, Crosshair is buffing the whole squad versus an enemy queen piece. Echo and Wrecker are laying down lots of extra shots, putting down suppression, putting a lot of extra pressure on opposing figures. Hunter and Echo have the power token game on lock with Kotun, you know, doing most of the work there, but then also Echo with some extra power tokens as well. And we have Tech, who is doing the Rebel Graffiti and throwing some bombs. We got our care package and our big damage dealers. No major queen piece, but they're all, you know, a good effective force all together. The Bad Batch in this way does fit with IACP, as the new season came out with Dr. Hemlock from the Bad Batch show and also Asajj Ventress representing during the time period of the Bad Batch. That definitely works there. I was in the middle of making cards with artwork of Bad Batch members, but on their respective card, like taking a picture of Omega and putting her on Gideon's card, etc. And I was also going to have a list of what everything represents to hand to my opponent, so it would be very clear. We could talk through it and have fun with the theme. The command cards for this list weren't quite set in stone yet, but pretty close. So it's a Hunter and Trooper list, so cards like Assassinate, Heightened Reflexes, Tools for the Job would definitely go in there. Probably also Call the Vanguard and Covering Fire, Wildfire and Rebel Graffiti. So Echo would be going off with extra shots and Rebel Graffiti for the points. Then your staples, Negation, Take Initiative, Element of Surprise, Urgency, and Celebration. And the last three cards I was considering was Field Promotion, since I do have a couple leaders, and Close and Personal for Wrecker, and then also Wild Attack, because you can take off the drawback to that card. That's my thoughts behind how the list would function. We did fully intend on running this Bad Batch list at Adepticon 2025. Like I said, that event was unfortunately canceled, but just kind of wanted to show you what we were working on and what we cooked up. Who knows, if IACP comes back to Adepticon next year, I may pull this back out and run it then. I was definitely really excited for this to hit the table and have the Bad Batch in force. You know, but this kind of, since we don't know about in-person Imperial Assaults and the continuity project going forward, you know, I guess this is our send-off to our time. You know, we really did enjoy doing Imperial Assault at Adepticon. It's what got us going to Adepticon together. Stephanie and I, as a couple, we did Star Wars Legion teams, and doing Imperial Assault in 2022 was a big priority for us. That year, Stephanie participated in her first tournament. In the throwback tournament, she played Jabba and Weequays, and we both played in the IACP that year. So 2022 I was doing my Jedis, had fun with that, and Steph was doing droid hunters with Bib and Forlom. So the big 3D printed models that we had that year were Forlom and Bib Fortuna. Bib Fortuna, that model we ended up using multiple years. He just became a staple in scum lists as he is to this day. I put together a Jedi Academy display board. I put down all the little blocks to make it look like kind of what the Jedi Academy we saw being built in one of the Mandalorian seasons. So that was fun. We came back in 2023 and Stephanie had her Imperials led by Darth Vader with the damaged helmet. And so I thought that that model was representing that damage in the Obi-Wan show, but actually if you go back through and watch Rebels, there's also a scene where Vader takes damage to his helmet and has a very similar kind of modulating back and forth voice between Anakin and Vader. So I think that's what that model actually represents. It was definitely a fun model to paint and for her to get on the table that year. And in 2023, I played Hunters with Cad Bane, and then just wanted all of the gunslingers running and gunning with Smuggler and Hunter. And then last year, 2024, we brought Rosie with us. Stephanie played our Rancor. She had fun with all those extra attacks and synergy between Elite Lothcats and the Nexus. I had full Rogue One, of course. We like to bring a themed list, and that list was finally finished off with Bodhi Rook at the last second, so I could run him at Adepticon. And Rosie played for the first time, and she brought Imperial Inquisition, brought Second Sister, and had fun with the melee dark side sabers. So we really have enjoyed Imperial Assault, meeting you guys, making some, I would say, lifelong friends. Joey, the Songers, Gabe Destructor, so many of you guys, and really appreciate being part of the community, and for Noah to have me on the podcast a few times talking about Adepticon. This year, I'm running Blood and Plunder on Saturday instead of playing Imperial Assault. Going to be running some Voodoo Pirates, bringing the theme of course with that, and we're doing a lot of Marvel Crisis Protocol. If you want to check out our journey through Adepticon 2025, Born Miniatures on Facebook and Born Miniatures on Instagram and TikTok will definitely be covering a lot of what we're doing there. We're going to be doing the Marvel Crisis Protocol teams, and Stephanie's doing a lot of hobby classes, paint classes, and we're all competing in some form of a painting competition. Rosie in the Young Bloods for Golden Demon, and Stephanie and myself both have an entry for the Path of the Worthy. So definitely check us out on social media, and you can also listen to Stephanie as she is the co-host of the War Dolls podcast, and I will link the War Dolls information in the description below. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later.